Those of you watching us on the Buddy Martin Show, welcome to the pop-up show. We're few minutes late. We were doing some technical difficulties, bringing in Lauren Meadows, who is still in Como, just kind of reeling, probably licking some wounds there. I'm assuming you're in some sort of saloon. We say hello to him. Of course, we've got Franz Meard coming in from HQ up there, where he's been probably up all night working, and then of course, the one and only Buddy Martin coming in from his studios as Lauren sort of sorting out his deal. Gentlemen, and of course, there's just little me, Brendan, who's in his living room. But hey, we're here, and I wanted to thank you for joining me last minute. I know everyone's really busy. I've just been inundated all day long with messages and people contacting me and a lot of outpour of emotion of what happened and what happened. And we like to do this once in a while, right, Dad? We like to have a pop-up show here now and then and sort of address these things. We're going to be on just for a couple of minutes, maybe half hour, not a full blank show, but we're just going to talk a little bit because I think we're all talking to each other, and it's nice to get into one place. So, welcome to the show. We're not going to do an open. We're just going to ask you to subscribe to this show. If you do like what you get down there at the bottom right, then you'll get notifications that we have gone live. Okay, gentlemen. Wow, what an emotional game last night. Obviously, lots of opinions about what happened, what went good, what didn't go good, all of those things. I think the best way to sort of start this, because I think we hadn't had a lot of time to discuss it with one another, was just do a quick round of the horn, starting with Buddy, as I know Buddy is still deep writing a column and he wants to get some stuff done. So, Buddy, give me your quick assessment of sort of what happened and why the Gators did not come home with a W last night from Missouri.
Okay, Brendan, thank you, and good evening to good afternoon, good what is it, morning afternoon to my colleagues.
Afternoon, yes, sir.
One in Como and one in Gainesville, and good job last night, guys. Fran's excellent column this morning on Gator Bait.
Very good.
I hope mine to be joining you here in the next 20 minutes. If I get through this show. You had a very good, detailed, objective account of a game that was. If you were just an alien zooming in from Mars and just watched it, it's a heck of a football game. I mean, it was an incredible football game. You didn't care who won or lost. If you cared who won and lost, there was some hearts broken last night. And I got to say, I give all credit to Missouri, but Eli Drinkwitz was very fortunate to win that game. I prefer not to get into the analytics or the discussion of the theories of why. To know that both you guys will, and there's plenty of blame to be passed out to everybody. I just want to say, from the emotional standpoint, this team picked the hill to die on last night in Columbia, and they took the high road and they gave everything they had. I get it. I know about the 4th and 17, the soft coverage, decision not to go for the touchdown, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of pain to go around. As I'm writing today, I'm thinking, don't talk to me about pain. Talk to Graham Mertz about getting crunched in a linebacker sandwich like he did there on a critical 3rd down and taking that hit. What bravado he showed last night. And for all you people who've been ripping on Graham Mertz, shame on you. This guy gave everything he had all season, right down to his body at the end. I know they don't give out, moral victories or Emmys or golden calves or whatever you want to call it for effort, but I don't care about that. What I care about is this right now. This is what's important. Winning the game would have been really nice. When you lose 4 in a row, it's hard to find a friend. But let me just ask you, what do you think DJ Lagway said this morning about his Gators, the team he chose, the team he's going to play with? How do you feel he thinks about playing for this team? I'm a guy, I'd like to suit up myself after seeing what I saw last night. The effort I saw out of this team. A maligned defense. Was shredded for 701 yards. But the guy who's probably going to win the Heisman. The makeshift offensive line. I mean, really. There was a ragtag bunch of people playing the offensive line, trying to call plays to be able to that would get the ball out quickly. have all that great effort being made. Ricky Pearsall putting his heart out, and on and on and on. And then a backup quarterback, Max Brown, comes off the bench. And I'm thinking, if it wasn't over before, now it's over now. And Brendan, when you called me and said, I think he's going to do great, I said, no, I'm thinking that's just going to
I
do
didn't
it.
say that. I said, mark my words, he's going to win and drive this team down.
Yeah. Whatever you said, yeah. And then I said, I don't see it happening. But something really rare happened. This young kid came off the bench. And Franz, you called it a Kyle Trask moment, which it was very similar to, as it was in Lexington. And a guy that we've seen very little of, Lauren, I know you know a little bit about him, but his ability to run the football, as you pointed out, changed the dynamics of the whole offense. And his remark, despite the terrible fumble he had, for whatever reason he had it, the throw he made on fourth down was, world class. And the way he took the team down there to score, and now we can talk about this approach of not going for the field goal, going for the winning touchdown, you hope, lots of things. But, I got to say, never mind people say, well, forget moral victories. This is not necessarily a moral victory. And I know the misguided notions of a moral victory. I get them fine. I've lived through a lot of them. But you have to accept a paradigm that goes with the bloodied but unbowed, the psyche of what goes on there. There was plenty of honor and dignity, as I wrote, honor and dignity to be salvaged on that hill in Como. I think this team played its heart out and deserved to win the game, but didn't. So I know it was brutal for Gator fans, but you know what? Things happen. We found out last night in Tallahassee. Situations changed. But for my money, these last two games, I have loved the effort I've seen from these Florida Gators. Billy made some mistakes. Yes, all coaches do. When you lose those mistakes are amplified. So I'm taking this particular road here when it's saying down, 4th and 17 should never happen. Lauren, you can break that down for us if you want to. But at the end, you knew the Superman Thunderfoot was going to kick it through for the win. And that was a weapon that Florida couldn't overcome. So for me, I just look at the bravado, the courage of Graham Mertz. I have greatest admiration for all you people who say he couldn't play. You need to write him a letter of apology. And I finally tweeted last night before I went to bed, the football gods hate us. That's kind of how I felt about it.
All right. Franz, give me your quick synopsis, much like Buddy just did.
Well, the thing that bothers me is this. We've had, by my count, either 8 or 9, depending on what you think about the LSU game a year ago, winnable games that we should have won, but didn't. And why didn't we win those games? We didn't win those games because there's one recurring theme, and that is you have 4th and 17s, you have 3rd and 13s, you have impossible situations that become possible for the other team. If Billy had won just half of them, let's say he wins 5 more, and he's 16-8 right now, everybody's saying, boy, he's got the Gators on the right track. But he's lost those 8 or 9 games, and everybody's complaining. At some point in time, the close losses have to become close wins. And that recurring theme of the defense continually coming up short or coming up, I'm miffed by the 4th and 17 pass. Their guy everybody in the ball yard knows they're throwing deep, because you got to throw deep in that situation, because you can't afford to throw underneath, because you might get stuffed short and it's the game over. So everybody knows they've got to throw the ball 20 yards minimum downfield. How can you complete a pass like that? Why don't you? If you can make sure that nobody gets behind you, but you got to have a picket fence there that says you can't. And how does it happen? It just does. How does it happen that 77-yard touchdown, 2-inch pass, and the rest of it, and the 75 yards and 34 inches Theo Weiss makes, and he's looking like Secretariat, and our guys look like the show ponies trying to catch up with him. Buddy's right. It's like somebody hates us up there, obviously, or dislikes us, or is trying to prove to us that we need a lot of character. Well, yeah. What we need, from my opinion, is we need a consistent defensive line that can stuff the run and create pressure, and we need an offensive line that can block people. I look at, I've watched the replay of the play that Trevor Etienne gets shoved out of bounds on. There's an obvious block that if it's made as he's going out to the right, there is one little block that if our guy just gets his hands in the guy's chest, Trevor Etienne probably gets a minimum of 10 yards on that play. As it is, he gets strung out, gets shoved out of bounds. We got to have change. We got to make changes. We got to have some offensive linemen that can block people. We got to have some defensive linemen that can stuff the run, and we got to start figuring out a way to win close games instead of losing them.
Well, I was going to take Lawrence Meadows' perspective. We just looks like we lost him. He'll come back to us in just a minute. Maybe his power went dead. I think that all those takes are right. I think this is one of those things where there's a lot of correct opinions. My opinion, albeit much of the same. I guess I go back more to some of the calls and the coaching. I'm a momentum guy, and I think that's Lauren trying to come back. I'm a momentum guy. What I saw, and when I called Buddy last night, and he said, "Oh, that's the end." They go down by, was it 9? And I said, "No, watch Max Brown." I've been the little that we got to see this year in the fall. I was impressed with Max Brown. I was impressed with his athletic ability. He's a dual athlete, baseball, football. I was impressed with his accuracy, his type of ball that he throws. I was impressed with his athleticism and his ability to run and his speed. We saw some of that in early on. So I sort of was wondering all year why there wasn't a Max Brown third down package where he could come in and do some of the things that we saw last night. I mean, look, when you saw the read option and then you look at Max Brown going to start ripping off 25, 27 yards, making incredible, gains. And then the reaction from the defense, we got to respect this guy. Now we've got you've got to make sure, gives you that half second. His ability to make quick decisions and his throwing accuracy. He made some great throws. That fourth down throw was right on the money. He made a couple back-to-back passes that were awesome. And my question in that moment is, you're driving down the field. You got to bleed clock. You know that you don't want to give the ball back with too much time, but they've got timeouts. I just felt like suddenly we went to small ball, and we played for the field goal. We played for the hope and pray. And I'm more of a line of a person that says, look, you play to the ability of the people on your team, and you're basically, your defense is warm butter at best. They're tired. They've been getting pounded by one big back all day long. And I just feel like at that moment, you got to go for the jugular, and you've got to find a way to score a touchdown, because you give the ball back with a minute plus left in the game, with one timeout, with a field goal kicker that's got the SEC record for 61 yards at home with the number 9 team in the country. How do you call 3 plays? ETN 1, 2, and then the stretch play, which he gets pushed out of bounds. And I know you're looking for field position. I get it. But in that moment, I feel like, maybe a Spurrier, maybe a Meyer would have gone for the kill shot, and, hoping to kick a field goal and give this team the ball back. I immediately said right there, that's it. They're not going to win. There's no way they're going to be able to stop this team, because this team just ripped off 77 yards for a touchdown, off a little play that was meant to, gain a first down. They just don't have the ability. And Lauren and I have talked about this, even many a times, and I'll give the mic to Lauren, which is the defense looks lost. If you watch the game today, like I've watched some of the replays today and watched the game again, they're looking at the sidelines milliseconds before the ball is snapped. They don't look like, they know what they're supposed to be doing. It's like a young coach coaching young players. Like that's just like it doesn't seem to fit. There's a disconnect from what to do and what's happening and letting some of these guys go play football. I think that's what's been sort of the problem. Analysis paralysis, too many swing thoughts, call it what you want, but that's my opinion, and I will throw it over to Lauren. Lauren, yeah? Go ahead.
Yeah, guys. I'm coming to you from Shakespeare's Pizza in Columbia, Missouri, and it's just kind of sitting here.
Only fitting because there was a Shakespearean tragedy last night.
Yeah. And, I think one of the things that, and I agree with France, you look at, it's almost like it's now over the course of the last 2 seasons, and I wrote in my post game, it's a bunch of almost and should haves. I mean, if you want to look at last night's game, it was basically about 5 plays where if one of those plays are made, it's a totally different ball game. And I agree with you, Brendan. Some of the things that we've questioned from a schematic standpoint, even the third down defensive call. I asked Billy Napier Coach Napier at the end of at the press conference, I said, is there a disconnect? Is there some type of miscommunication on the defense? Because this consistently seems to be a situation, and he even said it, anywhere from alignment to eye discipline to, just execution as a whole. And we're all in this together. And it seems like there's a disconnect between the 2 defense coordinators that we've had, the position coaches and the players, that things just aren't being relayed to where, like Fran said, the 4th and 17s, the 3 and 13s, the not getting Theo Weiss Jr. on the ground 2 plays after the fumble, and those kind of things to where, and I'm like you, Brendan, once I didn't think they would get, I thought, hey, 4th and 17, Florida's at least got this. They're the University of Florida. They'll get the stop. But once they got the first down, I was like, Florida's going to lose this football game. And if you look, they basically went back to being the same Florida defense. And it's those inconsistencies that have plagued this team that once again reared its head in a game that Florida should have won. I woke up this morning as I was leaving the hotel, and the Columbia Missourian had a headline that said, clutch finish. And that just goes to show you that to the victor goes the narrative, because, like I wrote in my column, it should have read, the better team did not win this football game. And so many times Florida finds itself on the losing end against football teams that they should handle, simply because they don't make the timely plays, particularly on defense, when they need to make them. And I think that's where we sit right now. And that's why you have a 5-6 football team, not necessarily limping into the Florida State game, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of confidence that team comes to. And, after the game, I thought Billy Napier had a lot of conviction as far as what the team means to him. And for the first time, I kind of agreed with him in a lot of things on, those guys are hurting. I think he felt for the players and things like that. But it'll just be interesting going forward, because while his messaging has been very good, and I think the team has received that in a lot of these losses, last night's game had a different tenor to where it could be 50-50 to how this team shows up.
Okay, Lauren, buddy, we're going to get final thoughts from you. I know you got to go. You've got to want to finish your column. By the way, you can read all 3 of these professional journalists right here on GatorBaitMedia.com. Their stories are, I know Lauren's story is coming, Buddy's story is coming, Franz has already posted, and we'll post on more of a frequent basis. Check it out today, GatorBaitMedia.com. Dad, final thought here about this football game.
I know I have a little different view of things because, Franz, you and I go back a long way. We've seen this team struggle many times before. If I didn't see some kind of progress, I wouldn't feel this way. I thought there was a lot of good things happening in the LSU game. but people will get so hung up on the 700 yards, you'll never be able to convince them that it was anything good in it. I see that this team can come together if they get a little time. I'm impressed. I look at it like they were banged up. Their offensive line, they needed to have you and me out there, Lauren, on the offensive line. They just played their butts off. And guys like Derek Wingo, who I think is a heck of a ball player, didn't have a great game, but he was out there in every frame. He was chasing somebody, trying to get to him. It was a wonderful effort. I like to put effort in there. As I said earlier, it's not a moral victory, but there has to be a psychic reward for when you put that much. You put it all on the field, and you come so close, and yet you don't make it, and it feels like the football guards are against you. Now, here's the thing about it, friends. We've seen these things before. Graham Mertz is injured, probably won't play at all against Florida State. And of all things, Florida State comes in without Jordan as their quarterback. By the way, great kid. Had a great post on Twitter, which I said, you may not like the team, but you got to root for this kid. He's a terrific kid and a guy that we wish all the best. So let's just switch it over. As I say, all this stuff, the 4 losses, the pain of this whole thing, disappointment, and the team not winning more games. If they beat FSU and get old bowl eligible and win a bowl game, things begin to change a little bit. It's amazing what a win would do for you, especially against a team like FSU. So there's that. There's a little bit of blue sky out there possibility. Painful time for the Gator fans. If you hang in there, you will be rewarded, but you do have to hang in there and go through the tough times. Friends, and I sat through the rain in a 51-0 game in 1967 when Georgia clobbered Florida, and we were awarded the next year by the Super Softs team of Alvarez and Reeves, who had a fantastic year. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes, it's just not your day. And so I think this team, the season is going to be over. Can they get one more ounce out of it, and win and beat FSU and knock them out of the championship? We'll see about that. So those are my thoughts as I finish up the column talking about dying on a hill in Como. What's going to happen next?
Check him out on GatorbaitMedia.com. He's Buddy Martin. Daddy, thanks for coming in. Dad, Buddy, all that good stuff. Thanks for taking your time. I know you're busy. We'll talk to you soon. Love you. Talk to you soon.
Love you, man.
Buddy Martin. Okay, Franz, let's talk a little bit about, look, first of all, I don't want to take away at all and be very clear about this, about how good a play that Graham Mertz has had. He's played unbelievable, out of his mind. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, fantastic human being. He has been the reasons the Gators have won any games this year, to be honest with you. And he's played outstanding, better than what he thought. Okay, that being said, he's probably going to be out, and we're going to hear from Billy Napier in a minute, who's going to give us, what he gave last night, which was the injury report, which really isn't a whole lot of much. But Franz, knowing that he's probably Graham Mertz not going to play, what does it look like to bring in Max Brown, and what are giving, what chances do you give the Gators, considering what happened to FSU last night?
Well, I think that the Gators, I thought the Gators had a really good chance to win against FSU, even if FSU had Jordan Travis, with Graham Mertz. Now, FSU's without Travis. Florida is without Graham Mertz, and we're going to see who's got the better backup. I don't think FSU's that good. I think they're exceptional in their league, but I don't know that I don't know that they'd be anything better than maybe 8-4 in the SEC, which is saying something, by the way. The SEC is a really good conference. I think the SEC has regained its status. At least I thought they had regained their status as the number 1 league in the country. And then Auburn, gosh, how do you lose by 3 touchdowns to New Mexico State? Well, that's a credit to Jerry Kill, who's a fine football coach and one of the most decent human beings in the game itself. I mean, we're talking about a guy that has epilepsy, seizures, and everything like this, and he keeps coaching. And the reason he keeps coaching is he loves the kids, and he does a great job, and kids love him. But there's no excuse for Auburn. So I think that Florida has a fighter's chance against FSU. I think this is a game where if the Florida fans have to stand up, they have to come ready to just make life miserable for FSU. They got to make it so that those guys can't hear anything for a week afterward. And if the Florida fans show up and Max Brown can get out there, and I guarantee you he won't have the same package that Graham Mertz will have. You can't expect him to read defenses the way Graham Mertz does. Mertz, you look at what Mertz has done without much of an offensive line, and that is a total credit to his ability to read defense and get the Gators into plays that can move the chains. Florida is averaging 425 yards a game right now, which is not too bad when you think about it. Graham Mertz has 2,903 passing yards. Guess what, guys? Other than the 2 years that Kyle Trask had that were so good, which was 2019 when he threw for 2941, and 2020 when he went absolutely lights out and threw for 4,283 yards. Graham Mertz just delivered the best passing game the Gators have had since the days of Tim Tebow. 11 years since it was 13 years since Tim Tebow, and Graham Mertz's numbers are the third best, better than Anthony Richardson's, better than any other quarterback except for those 2 years of Kyle Trask. I think that this is going to be the real question for Max Brown. Can he get up there and read what FSU is going to do? Because I give FSU's defense, one of the things they do is they do a very good job of disguising where blitzes are coming from. They run a lot of corner and safety blitzes that are coming from places you don't know. They do a lot of dropping the defensive lineman into the zone while the linebackers blitz, etc. They're very, very crafty at that. Can he? We don't know. We haven't seen enough of him to know that he can sit there and look at the line of scrimmage and know what that guy's doing over there, know what this guy's doing right here. We don't know that. So we're going to find out. Of course, the same thing can be said about FSU's backup quarterback.
Right.
Now, granted, he has the advantage of going against our defense.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Well, I don't want to get off. I want to get from Lauren here. Lauren, what is your assessment of Max Brown's play last night, and what kind of chances do you think? Because I have a feeling what you're going to say. We haven't talked today, so I'm actually interested in what you have to say. I know you were there last night at the presser and you heard him talk. What are your feelings about Max Brown's chances last night, knowing the little bit that you saw against a wounded FSU at home in the Swamp?
So I'll start with last night. When Mertz got hurt and Max Brown came in the game, I turned to a guy we know, Nick Delator. We were sitting together in the press box, and I said, "You're running." I said, "You're running." I said, "You're running." And Missouri was kind of on their heels, kind of defensively, even with Mertz. And I thought that the change of pace, which it would be very good for the Florida Gators and the offense with Max Brown's ability to run the football. And we saw some of that really affect them in a positive way for the Gators and to the detriment of the Missouri defense. And, the one thing I found Max Brown to be kind of a positive was in the presser, he talked about, not just his ability to kind of prepare as he was one play away, but it's something that's kind of trickled down through his relationship with his parents. They always talk about being one play away, his relationship with Graham Mertz, who I think has been a big influence on him at the quarterback position. And, honestly, I would look for him to play pretty well. I think they'll be a little bit different, like Fran said. It won't be the same kind of packages, but nothing threatens the eye discipline of the defense than the quarterback run game. And I think that he is fully capable of affecting that. and I think he'll make enough throws. I mean, I think they really got a chance. I mean, obviously, it comes down to what we've been saying all along is the defense has to play well. But going into the Florida State game, I think based upon what you saw against a very confident Missouri football team, I mean, Missouri was playing as confident as any team in the country, and he really had some success. And I'm with you. I think if they would have maybe put it, put foot to pedal and maybe tried to really get after it, I think he would have found a way to get the Gators in the end zone on that last drive as opposed to kicking a field goal. But I was very impressed with his poise. I thought he came in and handled it. It was loud in there, man. It really was. And I had the ability to be down on the field for that last drive, and he handled things very well. So, I mean, I think he presents obviously a different skill set, but one that can really threaten the Florida State defense. So, it'll be interesting. I mean, this will be the best. This could possibly be the best D line outside of Georgia that Florida has faced, and particularly with Jared Verse at defensive end. So it'll be very interesting. But how you put a guy like Jared Verse, how you eliminate him, and it's real simple. It's quarterback run game. You read him. So you can eliminate him and give Max Brown the instant advantage just by being able to put him in, what I call the football pick and roll and read him off of some of your read option and things like that. So,
Well, look, I agree with both of you. I guess I've just been a Max Brown guy early on. There was something about him. He's a different kind of person, right? I'm all about the people. That's my job, right? I read people, right? That's what I do in business. That's what I do. You guys, right? You guys do. I read people. I do that side of things, and I edit video, and I listen to people's voices and how they talk, and that's just my mindset. He's a different kind of guy, right? He is, to me, he is a la gunslinger, right? He is like, let's go make a play happen, right? And I think even looking at how Billy was talking last night about, although he was being very candid, I felt that there was a thing about Max Brown that he just doesn't like that much, right? Because there's not that control factor, right? I felt like even when Max Brown was sort of bounding off the field after the second timeout that they called at the last series that Florida had to play, you look at Billy's face and he's like, he's shaking back throughout. Because I promise you, Max Brown's like, look, let's go. Let's get it. I got this. I got this, coach. We had a great Urban Meyer, Buddy Martin, Best Fridays in Football 2 days ago, talking to Urban Meyer. And I asked him a question about how do you know when a player comes on and says, give me the ball, how do you know how to give it to him? And he had a great answer about like, hey, you trust some guys, you don't trust some other guys, but I trust the guys that I know can make a play happen, and we get that ball in that player's hands, right? I feel like that's like that gunslinger mentality that like, let's go for the jugular. Hey, scared money doesn't make money, right? That's what we heard from Billy from game one. And last night, I felt like you had the right momentum and the right guy to go and get a touchdown. I feel like you could have scored there, no question, or at least you had a shot to go get it. So my opinion about Max Brown against FSU is I think we're going to see this offense play, I think, even better. I think we're going to see that dual threat. You got to respect that run coming out. You don't know if Max is going to take off. You don't, it spreads the defense way out. Play action now means a little bit more. Everything, it's kind of like I said, what we saw with AR a little bit. You just have that extra gear now. If the kid can play the way that he seems to play, poised and sort of like fearless, I personally believe that they're going to go out and beat the heck out of Florida State. I just think that it's their due. I think they got the right, and the more that you can score points and keep your defense off the field, I think that's why you saw that fourth and 19 or whatever last night. The defensive line was tired. That defense has been pounded all day long. I just feel like that doesn't help a young defense that's not very deep and can get tired out in the SEC pretty quickly. I think I like a little spark plug, a little thing like, I might call Max Brown a spark plug, but something like that really changes a dynamic of a team. And I think it's very interesting. And that being said, so I want to take just about 1 minute. I have his press conference queued up last night. This is Max Brown post game. Hang with us. We'll have final comments right after we hear from Max Brown.
Yeah, man. Graham's a warrior. So just being behind and seeing and at practice, feeling around, seeing him compete, I think that really made me keep that one play mentality. Should always be ready for it. So I think he's done a great job, being a great leader throughout the whole season. So I think he's really helped me prepare for this moment. So
what were your emotions?
You're one play away. You're always one play away. So you gotta stay ready. You gotta be ready. So just being able to actually feel it and take a deep breath. Let's go out here and ball. So I think that was the mentality.
How much confidence can you take from getting into a game like this against the number 9 team? It sounds like, just based on Graham's injury, that they're going to need you to do it again against the number 4 team next week.
Yeah, it builds confidence. I think going out there, when you get any type of reps and going out there and playing actual live football, it gives you any type of confidence. So going out there, playing, it's just football at the end of the day.
How about your ability to bounce back after the turnover? And did anyone kind of talk to you on the sideline after that and kind of pump you up? Because obviously the results showed after that.
Yeah, man. My team did a great job having my back. Telling me, hey, we got your back. Defense coming over to me, telling me, we got your back, we're ready to go. We're going to get you the ball right back. So I think that ended up giving me confidence to go out there and perform. They did a great job being able to give me opportunities to go into the game and make plays.
The read option play for ETN for the touchdown, it seemed like you had just the whole defense full there. Just went into that. And what was it like seeing Trevor get into the end zone there?
Yeah, that's my dog, man. So being able to see 7 run right into the end zone like that is it's big time. Something we've talked about for sure. So.
What happened on that handoff? The ball just slipped, or were you expecting to take it?
Yeah, man, it's 100% on me. That was I got to be better mechanically. I got to be able to extend the ball and be able to not put the ball in jeopardy. So that's 100% on me.
Is that reps, like practice? Is that just, Graham's probably been getting all the reps with Montrell for the most part, or is that just something is that what it is? Just timing? You just need a little more timing? Like this week you're going to get plenty of them.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's just coming down to making the play on my end. So I think I just got to stick with working on it and be able to correct it.
Gotcha.
So.
What about the 4th down throw? You look pretty cool on that one.
Yeah, being able to have faith in your receivers, I think that's big, especially 4th down. When you look out there and who am I gonna throw it to? I got faith in all 4 of these guys, so I think that's a big breath of fresh air right there. It's like I can throw it to any 4 of these guys right here. So I think being able to pick from any of the 4 was kind of a calm me down and be able to deliver.
The throw to Khalil down the left.
Well, like I said, there you go. He's like, it seems like a different kind of attitude, different kind of quarterback. I'm excited to see what he's got to play. Again, not taking away from the great play of Graham Mertz. Obviously, he was a warrior. Interestingly enough, did you guys see that late hit early in the first when he hit Pearsall across the middle? When they put him on the 9-yard line, he takes almost a late hit in the backfield right when he delivers that thing, and it almost looks like it hit that shoulder. It just felt like that was one of those things. Those injuries seem to sort of build up on you. But warrior to put the team on his back. Franz, final thoughts here. I appreciate you guys coming out. I know everyone's tired. Final thoughts on what do you think going forward's going to happen with this game? How important is this game against Florida State, other than being a rival? And how does Billy sort of approach it in a sense? Do you change up offense to kind of get a shape around Max Brown? We're going to see more of this read option stuff, or it's kind of just more of the same?
Well, he has an advantage in that there's not a lot of tape on Max Brown. All FSU has is a very, very little bit of tape, and he had 1 rushing attempt going into this ball game. So plays when he ran the ball are the first time FSU will have seen him. And it changes the dynamic, because I guarantee you FSU started working on a game plan for Florida back in July, okay? And of course that game plan has been modified as they go along based on what they've seen out of Graham Mertz. And now all of a sudden you throw a different dynamic in there, a new guy that you have no tape on. You have very little tape on it of him from high school even. So you really don't know what he can do. We don't even know what he's capable of. We saw a glimpse of what he can do. We don't know what kind of throws he can make. We don't know if he's like Graham Mertz is an exceptional thrower on the run. Very, very few quarterbacks I've seen this year make as good a decisions on the run as Graham Mertz does. Can Max Brown make those decisions on the run? I thought he looked pretty darn good in the pocket, last night. But how is he when the play breaks down? Is he a guy that's going to say all of a sudden, head down, I'm running the ball? Or is he going to be a guy that's head up with the ball up here, looking for somebody, and the run is his final resort, albeit he's good at it? So we got a lot of things that FSU, if there's going to be an advantage going into the FSU game, it is that FSU has no clue what to do about Max Brown. They can throw out the entire game plan for defense based on what little bit they've seen, and then they don't know, does Florida have an entire package with this guy that suddenly opens a lot of things up? We don't know. We don't know that, nor does FSU. So if there's going to be an advantage this week, it's going to be the advantage of surprise, for lack of a better term.
Well, friends, sorry, I've been up late too. Friends, if you want to read more of what Franz has to say about this entire week, check out GatorbaitMedia.com. He posts every single day with almost every day, thoughts of the day. He also covers Gator basketball, which we'll talk about more this week. He comes on these shows. There is a reason, folks, we call him the Iron Duke and the Machine, because he covers it all, he does it all, and he's really, really good at what he does. His article this morning was spot on, fantastic read. He's also my very good friend and colleague. And friends, I always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on last minute. You always are there, and I couldn't thank you more. So you have a good rest of your Sunday. I'm surprised there's not sports on in the background.
Thanks, guys.
All right, I'll talk to you. He's Franz Beard. He never knows what to do when I've got when I compliment him. He gets a little bit nervous about it. So yeah, gotta love Franz. I always catch him off guard. Okay, Lauren. I know. I guess I know. I don't know. I know what I don't know, but I don't know, and I know this is why I love talking to you, because you and I are the same age. We often have different perspectives, which is neither good nor bad. I guess I'm just going to go back to the saying, look, defense is not that great. You're going to have to assess that. You're going to have to assess the coaching there, and you're going to have to figure out if Austin is the right guy or not, or whatever it may be. But that's nothing you're going to really work on. That's nothing you can do this week. Again, we've talked about several times, as you play up, you coach to the level of the team on the field. Like I said, I love Graham Mertz. I think he's a fantastic quarterback, but I really like and have liked Max Brown and his decision-making abilities and the quickness of his. One knock you give Graham Mertz, and even coaches says this, is he holds on to the ball a little bit too long, and he telegraphs a little bit of his passes. You kind of know what's going to happen after you're a DB on that guy. If you played defensive back, which I have in high school, that you start looking at those eyes. You're looking at eyes all day long. Are they staring off receivers? Are they looking down for second and third? Are they doing their check downs? And I know the pocket is collapsing around him, but that plays, in my opinion, to the abilities of a guy like Max Brown, who can escape and evade. And, to address Franz's question about can he run and throw, well, you wouldn't have played baseball if you couldn't run and throw. Baseball players grow up running and throwing, man. That's the whole name of the game. Whatever position, if you played enough baseball, which God knows I did, you can't run and throw, you ain't going to ever, get on the diamond. So I don't think he has the inability to, not do that. I think in history, baseball players always make great college football quarterbacks. You're used to seeing things a little bit differently, a little bit faster. And he's got the swagger, right? You heard him in the press conference. That's why I wanted to play it. He's got that swagger mentality. I think he kind of gels in that space, and I think that makes the offensive line a little bit better. He's gonna make that decision to go or to not go, and I think, not knocking anybody, but I think he's really, really smart, right? I think he's a smart, smart, smart cookie. And I think he comes from, like you said, his parents. And I think he's sort of, look how quickly he adapted at Florida. Look how quick he's come up where he was, third string, and all of a sudden, we're talking third. Then all of a sudden, we're talking he's playing number two. That's a pretty big jump. Tell me if I'm wrong, and I'd be willing to hear it, Coach.
Well, I mean, no, everything you said about Max Brown is spot on. Now, what I don't want to do is, I mean, I think that you look from my articles back in the spring, I've been on the Graham Mertz train for a really long time, and I think he is arguably the most underrated quarterback in the entire country. I think he is phenomenal. But he's hurt right now. So let's focus on Max Brown. And everything you said kind of is spot on. I think that he has the ability to make plays, and I think he will. But Florida State's a different animal, man. And it's going to be it's a tough, even playing in the swamp at home in your own backyard can be tough on quarterbacks. I mean, it is not easy. Look at the Spurrier quarterbacks that had some of their worst games at home in the swamp, and they were the home quarterbacks. I mean, it just the pressure and everything like that. And like you said, I mean, last night he was very impressive. I think he is a smart young man. I think he will have not just a basic package, but I think he will have a very detailed game plan that will be there for him to execute. But let's just face it, like we said on Thursday, I said Florida has two very winnable games, but they have to create turnovers. And I think it's going to be a lot of talk about Graham Mertz and Max Brown and the lack thereof, and then the other one starting. But if Florida does not find a way to turn the ball over, they are not going to win this football game. I wrote in my article, ultimately, it came down to Florida not making enough plays on defense. They lost the turnover battle, and hence they lost the game. And for all this talk about quarterbacks and things like that, they have to find a way to get the ball back for the offense. I mean, that is what the game's going to come down to. And, sadly put, I think Max Brown could play extremely well and Florida still lose this football game. Because right now, the complementary football that Billy Napier speaks about is just not coming to fruition. And unless that defense, and here's the thing, the challenge is going to be take getting Max Brown ready. That was a wounded bunch. I mean, we talk about being close. I mean, I watched that team as they left the locker room. There were a couple players that weren't even out of their uniforms yet. They were still in their uniforms 25, 30 minutes after the game. And you played, Brendan, after a big loss, when you still stuck and you can't move and start taking your stuff off, you know what that means. That's a mentally wounded bunch. And I think Billy Napier and staff's biggest challenge for this week, not going into the offseason, but if you just isolate the Florida State game, it is going to be getting, and I know they practice later on this evening, getting that bunch back on the horse after arguably the most devastating loss of the season. That is going to be their biggest challenge. And it's going to be interesting, man. I am really anxious to see. I mean, I want Saturday to get here now so I can really
excited.
See what kind of bunch, because I mean, he had to really spend some time, and it was a prominent player on that defense. He had. I mean, I saw Billy Napier, and I'm not going to get into who it was. You and I could talk, but I don't want to put the young man out there. Billy Napier had to spend a lot of time in his ear one-on-one I think getting that young man off the mat and getting him in the locker room so they could get home. I mean, they needed to. They left Como like right after the game, and this
Oh
young
yeah.
man was still in his uniform.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
there were people devastated, coaches visibly devastated. It's
Oh,
going to be interesting to see what the mentality of this team is, and that could determine the outcome more than any other thing.
why did we not see Boardingham last night? Do you know? Like all of a sudden, this guy is like a go-to, and then I haven't seen him for like 2 weeks.
I think it was they were getting better matchups with like the 11 personnel with Hayden Hanson kind of the inline, and then if you notice they had the three
Yeah,
like I call a trio sets
yeah. The
with
trips,
Pearsall,
trips.
Jackson, and
Yeah,
and I think they were getting more out of that, and the presence of like a Eugene Wilson on the field, I
yeah,
think was putting the defense in a lot more conflict. I just think it was a matchup thing. I
yeah.
don't think it was
No,
anything. Yeah, it's
I
just
mean, a
personnel.
great tight end. A lot of times, if they got to look out for him, he's doing his job. If you're getting man matchup out there on the outside
Right.
as
And
well.
and if you remember Hanson a couple times
Yeah,
on the boot really did well. I think it
yeah.
just fit what they needed to get into last night. I don't think it was anything else.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
one thing that kept burning in the back of my mind last night was why not we have not seen a third down package with a guy like Max Brown. Why not have that sort of a la Steve Spurrier rotating quarterback? Why not bring that wrinkle into the game? This is kind of the questions that start to build up on me about the coaching style, about the way things have been this year. Because I feel like if we'd have had that, it would have solved a lot of third down issues that we had, especially like go all the way. Think about that going back to Utah. You bring in Max Brown, you bring him, run that read option set. Man, that changes a lot of things, and it's very popular to do these days. I was scared of this whole notion of Graham Mertz getting hurt. And you and I've discussed it. I said I've told you time and again he gets hurt at Missouri or he gets hurt in the Florida State game. It was bound to happen. He's too much of a competitor. He was taking too many hits. This whatever the coach called it in the press,
Clavicle,
clavicle crack or
collarbone,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
collarbone. These things happen over time. That's a wear and tear deal. I mean, generally, the crack occurs or whatever, but hairline fracture happens. That's something that may have just gotten worse over time because he took so many shots. Because the ultimate hit wasn't that big a hit. I mean, look, yeah, he took a shot, but it was one of those like straw that broke the camel's back kind of a deal.
Hmm.
And so I guess my question is that we go back to this coaching and then even to defense. Like it's this coaching mentality. I sent you that video today when I was watching the game again this morning. And it's like right before the ball snap, almost time and again on defense, you look over and you've got two or three guys, secondary, outside linebacker staring at the sideline. And by the time they rotate their head back to even get a sense of where the ball is coming, they've snapped the ball, and good quarterbacks will key on that. I don't understand this analysis paralysis. I get that they're young, but you got to stop screaming and trying to adjust. Let them go make a play. Because defense, again, I talked to you've got to see the Urban Meyer thing from Friday. We talked about defense. He says, look, defense is defense. He's like, I would go over to the defensive side of the locker room and say, what is hard for you to defend? And he'd ask the defensive guys, and then I'd run back over to the offensive side of the locker room and says, we're going to do this. We're doing
Right.
this because it's all
Right.
about, a defense is instinct. It's being in the right place. Sure, you got to stay home. Sure, you got to look for your shifts. Sure, you got to watch your stunts. You got to know what's going on and cover this and your zone play. I get all that, but a lot of that's just going to come down to making a play. And when you got four guys in the vicinity of 4th and 19 right there, there's no reason. Nobody's really that good of a quarterback to thread a needle that well to get it in there. That's lack of awareness, and we've seen that in the defensive backfield and the linebacker coverage on the pass play. It's like every time I see a quarterback go to throw it, I think they're going to rip off 50 because nobody seems to turn around. They're playing the man, not the ball. There's just a lot of that, and it just feels like there's that static in the attic, right? That analysis paralysis, too many swing thoughts on the golf course, whatever the hell you want to say it. It's shitty coaching sometimes. Stop. Everyone stop. Let them go play some football. And that's where I'm at with it. And I'm sorry, and I know it's unpopular. I know people don't want to hear it, but I am not happy, and I'm not going to continue to be happy with what I've seen from coaching across the board this year for Florida Gators, because I feel like they had pretty good personnel to make some of these games be the difference makers from L's to W's. That's just,
No, I mean, I agree. Like you said, I mean, there is I'll kind of chop it backwards. Like we keep talking about, there is a disconnect in the messaging on defense. There just is. And we can pinpoint so many things, but there is something fundamentally wrong. When they are sitting in these meetings and things like that, the message is not getting to the field where it's supposed to be. If you look at Cody Schrader's 42-yard run, I mean, there was nobody in the B gap. And I'm sitting there talking
like
to
nobody.
Dan, I'm like, we're not fit right. We're not fit right. We're not fit right. Boom, touchdown.
They didn't line up right.
No, they had no clue. And those are the things that, and like you said, during that whole stanza, they're communicating with the sideline and things like that. And nothing, I mean, they slanted the defensive line, but then the linebackers go that way too. Well, when you slant the defensive line, the linebackers are supposed to come on the other side to protect the gap. But anyway,
they all bunched in the middle.
Right. But the other thing I think people need to understand is if it is not your style, it is not your style. And to your Max Brown package question, Max Brown having a package has to fit what the quarterback does. I think we've all been jaded by back when, particularly like with Dan Mullen, with Chris Leak and Tebow. They had a Tebow package, and then they had Chris Leak.
Yeah.
That's not Billy Napier's thing. Now, will he adjust and evolve to that? But right now, that is not his thing. That is not
Isn't
the way
that
he
the
operates.
difference of coaching in the Sun Belt and in the SEC? Like, I'm telling you, it's a difference.
I don't know. But I don't know if that's the thing, but it's just not his thing. It's like last night they ran a zone play.
Crazy stubborn.
Well, they ran an inside zone play, fake. And then all four receivers stopped at 6 yards and hooked up. So my question is, if you run a zone play and it doesn't, and you're trying to influence, who are you reading if the routes only go to 6 yards? Now, if they go to 14 yards, 15 yards, okay, I could say, well, you want to influence the linebacker. But at 6 yards, even if the linebacker's influenced, that's not really going to make that much of a difference. So I even asked Shane Matthews, I said, what are they trying to accomplish on that play? And he was like, dude, I don't know. So I agree. I mean, it's those kind of things. But as far as the Max Brown package and some of the things that the razzle dazzle that Florida fans want to see right now, that is not Billy Napier as a schemist or as a play caller. And you have to live with that. Now, with that said, could it ultimately cost him his job sometime down the road? That's open to debate. But people have to understand, you got to take that. Like I was at the Ocala Quarterback Club, and somebody said, well, as fans, don't we deserve? Billy Napier doesn't care what you think you deserve. And as fans, you really don't deserve anything. You might like to see something, but you don't deserve anything. And the play caller doesn't care what you think.
Wait, you're going to tell me you're a bull gator or a booster that gives money to this program? You don't deserve anything? I don't know about that.
Well,
I really don't know about that. That's a different thing because that money right now is paying for these guys to come in.
But as a donor, do you really get to dictate offensive style? I
not
think
style.
So,
but taking losses because you can't get the damn right field goal unit on the team at the right time.
I would agree with that.
You sure as hell get a right to say about that.
I would agree, but you don't deserve to see the ball go down the post on the Mills route like
Of
you
course
did when
not.
Spurrier was there.
And I don't think I've never
Yeah.
talked to a booster that felt that way.
Oh, I have
Well,
several.
okay, sure. I mean, maybe they like to think that in conversation, but I think they don't want to be on headset, or maybe they did if they've given $1 million plus. It's a different
Right.
level the higher you go.
Yeah.
But most of these people I hang out with are, that's
Yeah.
a different deal. But I've talked even today. I've had people contact me that are Gator boosters, that are Bull Gators, that are like, I am not giving any more money till I see a change in this coaching regime. I am done like taking it on the chin. I don't want to do this anymore. And when you're not working, one guy says, "Look, I run a big giant company." You see you're in trouble. Just get
No, I'm good.
give me a beer, would you? Yeah, no, I'll take two. It's a 2-for-1 probably right now.
Yeah.
The Como special.
No,
But
somebody asked, "Was this reserved?" And
no,
no,
it's
the
the
big
studio.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, I
My
commandeered it at the
studios.
party
Good to get
room.
out of here.
Yeah, at Shakespeare Pizza. But no, I mean, no, I agree. I think, like I said, so we don't get ahead of ourselves, I think that there will be changes in the defensive staff. And like I said, because the messaging has got to get better. And there are something now, like for instance, to give you a perfect example, I'm really into the intricacies. The linebacker coach, Jay Bateman, is in the press box. The defensive back coach, Corey Raymond, is down on the field. Do they switch that? So now the linebacker coach is down on the sideline, and the defensive back coach, if Corey Raymond is retained, is up in the booth. Those kind of things. All of those things could affect the communication and what's going on, because obviously from the press box to the sideline to the field and in between series, the adjustments just aren't being made. And you have a defense that plays with zero ferocity. Zero
Because they
ferocity.
don't know what they're supposed to do.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I mean,
that could be
look,
that could be the case.
Can we just go back to the normal coaching staff titling? Can we just have a defensive coordinator, an offensive coordinator, a special teams coach? Why are we like these band of merry men that are these analysts or whatever? Like, Moneyball, dude.
Right.
Stop.
That frustrates me. You've heard me say a million times. They got 100 people at the Hefner Center with a Jordan shirt on, and I don't know what they're doing. I don't know
what you do.
Yeah.
Stop renaming shit. Stop changing it around. This is what it is. Like Urban Meyer says, I go, how do you hire a defensive coordinator? I go look for the OG who's like got like gristle and kind of like ugly, maybe a couple of teeth and some banged up knuckles. And I hire that guy and I give him more money because he's been there and he's got experience in the SEC. He's like, I've retained every defensive coordinator of wherever I went to, from Ohio State to Florida. He says, I retained that person because they know they know the landscape and who you're going to play. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, to me, it is a very, very inexperienced situation, and too much has changed and too many things have tried to be implemented. And here we are going into the final game of the year, and we should have won. I mean, God bless it. We should have won that game. That game should not have been lost last night. Take your 4th and 19, take your ETN spread or stretch play, running out of bounds, whatever. There is a million different reasons there that you shouldn't have lost last night. You should have beat that team. And like you have said at the beginning of this program, the best team did not win the football game last night.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we keep beating. It's like a broken record. And you think about the things that if this football team fails to make a bowl game and is home for Christmas, I think we will point to the Arkansas game and the Missouri game and really sit back and dissect that game schematically, professionally, and physically. And I think those three things will be one of the things that resonate, and Florida fans will file those 2 losses, one at home that was winnable and one on the road that was winnable, and that will stick in the craw. It's going to be a very long 9 months because of those two losses.
I agree. And, and I want to talk to you more about more of this week on our shows. But I had a great conversation today with a couple of people just on the side texting about just, look, it's really important to have a great recruiting class. I get it. But today's day of college football, it is built in the transfer portal.
Gotta go
That's
get some
what you
men.
do.
Gotta
You
go get
you
some men.
you
Gotta go
gotta
get some men.
right. You gotta stop focusing on the recruiting class. Those guys aren't going to play, and they're not going to do anything this year or next year. It is built in the transfer portal. It's like free agency. Like Urban said, well, it's not even hard to recruit anymore. And he goes, I was talking to this coach. He says, well, it's hard to recruit. He says, no, it's not, coach. It's the easiest it's ever been. We just, how much? How much? So now we're having NFL salary cap. Like, we've got this whole new mentality, right?
Oh
so,
yeah, that's a whole nother
now,
boat. Yeah,
right. So now we've got, and maybe, hey, and this is going to piss people off too. Hey, maybe Dan Mullen saw some of that, on his way out the door. Like, I think really in the end, we're going to see this is the deal now. It's going to be, okay, we got these guys coming in, great, but who did you get in the portal? Billy's got to go to work in the portal. He's got to find some guys, and like he said, some grown-ass men to come in and block, and some guys to come in and pass rush and to get mean and nasty. And stop focusing on these guys that aren't going to do anything for next year, because you are going to line up at the beginning of the 2024 season, and you're going to look at that schedule and say, well, we got a big game every single week, and you could just get injured and schwacked and just have an awful season, or you can go get some guys in the portal in the offseason and make a difference. And the fact that Florida doesn't become bowl eligible, and I don't even know if that's possible anymore, but you're going to lose 15 practices in the offseason if you don't. And that is going to hurt this team. That win last night was huge. Would have been massive. And the fact that they're not done it, there is massive ripple effect, and I am not happy as a Gator fan with it, because it was a very winnable game. And guys, your quarterback gets hurt, plays it, makes a hell of a run to get the first down, gets injured, he lays it all out there, and to come out with a loss and not go for the jugular right there at the end, that just tells me you're scared money don't make no difference to me, because you sure as hell didn't show up with it, and you didn't double down on aces. So screw that, man. Like, you played safe, and you can't play safe when you're on the road like that. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And I know you got to go. Looks like they're trying to kick you out of there. He's Lauren Meadows. He'll be on our shows this week. When are you coming back, bro?
I'm headed back. When I get off with you, I'm driving to St. Louis and flying out. It's going to be a long night. Sometimes the flights don't line up real well, so I'll be getting back a little later tonight. But but no, it's been a fun time out here in Columbia. It was my first trip out here. Obviously, I would have enjoyed it a lot more had the Gators pulled out the victory. But really nice town, beautiful campus, and it was well worth the trip. So,
well, thanks for checking in with us. Have a great trip. You and Dan Bond, thanks for posting all that stuff yesterday. It was fun to see you guys out there. And we will talk to you very soon. Lauren Meadows reporting from Como, where you covered the game yesterday. Thanks, Lauren. He did a great job in the press conference last night. That is it for the pop-up show. Thanks to everybody who's checked in. Toby, Perimeter, Animal, Laney, JR. Look, I said in the description, come one and come all. Bring all of your opinions, and everyone's opinions matter, because I'm tired of getting away from being able to debate. Look, you don't agree with me. You agree with me. That's fine. We all can discuss it. At this point, I think a healthy discussion is where we should be. We should be okay with disagreeing with one another, because I think there's a lot of things that and different perspectives that could really be gained, information and good things that can be gained from having these conversations, because in the end we're all Gators, and it all sorts of matters. And I think I really, really want to beat Florida State. I'm sorry, I'm like shaking the desk. I'm so animated, but I really want to beat Florida State. I think I'm going to believe in Max Brown. I'm going to believe in this team one more time. I think you should too. It would be a great way to finish, to beat an unbeaten program like that and play the spoils. We'll be back on the air tomorrow. Check it out, same time. We've been going a little bit early at 7, just because it's a little bit more convenient for everyone's time. I'm going to try to post this stuff as we go. Check us out tomorrow, all week long, which will be coming at you for FSU Hate Week, right? Bring all your good FSU memes. I don't know if you guys can post those in the chat, but that certainly would be an awesome thing to do. And by the way, make sure you subscribe to this show so we can continue to bring you free programming. And also, what do you want to really help us out? Subscribe to Gator Bait, man. Please. It's awesome. It's not like we're not giving you a good deal. Buddy, friends, everybody else, go and check on this link. Subscribe to Gator Bait. It's getting better each and every time. I've got a whole new website to drop. Make sure you also subscribe to our show. Check that out. It's how we continue to bring you this programming and do the things that we do here on the show. I'm Brendan Martin. Thanks to Franz Beard, Buddy Martin, Lauren Meadows, and the cast of thousands. You'll be hearing more from us this week. Have a great rest of your Sunday. It is Thanksgiving holiday, so let's be mindful of our neighbors. Let's look out for one another. I solely mean that. This is the time of year from now on forward. I think about all sorts of things. My mom, God rest her soul, would say stuff like that, and that she would be conscious of that. So let's be kind to one another and remember that we're all Gators in all sorts of weather. We do stick together. And as always, I like the end of the show, go Gators.